I enjoy doing walks on old railways, and what I really like is areas where the route was changed years ago, and I like looking for evidence of the original routing of the railway. And so this video is about one of those times when I looked a little bit deeper and found some interesting things. I hope you enjoy this. Here is the area of my exploration. Bigger picture, Vancouver Island, and the yellow squares going from right to left is the Port Alberni subdivision of the ENN Railway. And the red dot with the arrow is the rough area where I was, just near the city of Port Alberni and west of the Port Alberni summit. And here's a close-in view of the exact area using Google Maps satellite view. I love using this as a tool for planning my hikes. The blue line is the current railway. This is the route ever since late 1971. The red line is my very amateur drawing guess of what I think the trestle route was up to late 1971, crossing the gully. And here's a photograph made by David Wilkie in 1968 showing that trestle 3 years before the diversion route was built and the trestle was removed. In my overall railway hike on that day, I went from right to left on my outbound leg heading westbound, and this yellow mark is where I first encountered this trestle site on that hike. This is the east end of where that trestle would have been. And so I make a few comments in this video as I'm walking by. And then a few minutes later, I walk past the west end of the trestle, shown in the yellow mark on the left side of this map. On my inbound leg of my hike, heading back from left to right, eastward, this yellow line shows where I climbed a pathway up a rock bluff, and then that yellow arrow is where I later looked down below at rail level near the end of my video. Here's where I'm approaching the old trestle route from the east side, so it would have gone through there on the left, to the left of where that mossy rock ridge is, the other side of the current rail route, and the current rail route curves around the gully, shown here as I continue to walk westward on the post-1971 route. Looking back where I came from, in this diversion, through there is the gully, and here is the start of the tight curve around the gully. Here's the gully through there that the trestle crossed, and through there is where it made landfall, and went through that clearing there, and then where the curve is, that's where the line had gone. I was going to say it's where it branched off, but we're on the branched off area. And I've played around in there before. It's an interesting spot. A few hours later, on the inbound leg of my hike, I came back to this scene. This is near the west end of the trestle. This is about milepost 24.45. And I decided to explore a bit. I happened to notice some route tape flagging, pink ribbon on a tree, and so I decided to see what it looked like, and I am glad that I did. Okay, I'm gonna go off rail for a moment and just see where this leads. It's flagged as a trail, and this is where the ridge of the rock cut starts for the old trestle area. So I'm always curious if this will give me a view or not. I'd been curious about this area up here before. There's the railway. But I didn't want to do a crazy bushwhack. But a trail is nice. And this will be safe for getting back down. This is nice. Continue up there. Alberni Valley is that way. I want to go take a look, see if this gives me a view of the Trestle Gully. The one without a trestle anymore. Somewhere through there is a steep drop off. I've been below it where I've explored the area near where the trestle was. Through there. But first, the Alberni view. Trestle would have gone through there somewhere. 51 years of tree growth makes it difficult to see. Railway through there. There's a rail planted in the ground like a stake in the slope below me. Here's a better look at it. This is high up where I am, and where that rail is also top of a cliff above the old grade. So why it got up there, I have no idea. But this is interesting being here amongst old history at former trestle site. Again, the new line is through there, you can see. I've come down to the edge of the cliff as far as I dare go. So across through there is where the trestle would have gone before 1972, like up to late 1971. Down there, I've been down there on the floor, and I just came down from there. And let's check out that weird bit of rail. Here I am. It's tied to some old ties. And then down below, you can see the new grade with the rails. The old grade went through there. And right there is some old rail. And that I've explored before is the old Jordan rail from the trestle with the curved end to it. The Jordan rail is the inner set of rails found on most railway bridges and trestles. It serves as a guardrail, so if a rail car happens to derail while on the structure, the wheel will get caught between the two sets of rails and the car won't fall off the structure. Wide angle video on my phone camera for this close angle. You can see what I got here. Let's see if there's any markings on the rail. The rail marking is Rhymney, and I can't make out if those are year or month marks on the right side of the photo. I did some Googling, and Rhymney is a Welsh name, and thanks to Chris Sundstrom from a Facebook post that I made, he replied to mention that the Rhymney Iron Company produced iron rails from 1876 until 1891. End quote. Thanks, Chris. And here's where I start to speculate on the purpose of this old rail sticking up like a post. And I think I figure out the correct purpose at the end of my guessing. My conclusion is that this rail was used as a post for the telegraph wire, where the wire used to go alongside the trestle, and then the wires sloped upward to this rock bluff. My support for this conclusion is a photo from May 1968 from the late David Wilkie, and the photo is courtesy of the collection of Mike Dunham Wilkie. I'm very grateful to use this, and if I look really closely in the photo in front of the day liner, I can see the telegraph wires sloping upwards. So the only thing I can think of for purpose would be if this was rigged up for some sort of pulley system to then use for lifting items down there. Would be sort of part of like a crane system. It's just my guess. What else could it be? Oh, I guess it could also have been maybe part of a telegraph pole system. If they didn't have a pole here because they couldn't bury it because of the rocks, perhaps this was used instead of a pole for the telegraph line. So far, that's my best guess. Okay, this has been a lot of fun, and now I get to work my way back up over the hill. But first, one more little look here at the edge. It's from where I'm standing, looking straight ahead. Again, that would be the gully that the trestle crossed 51 years ago, mile 24.4. So the trestle would have gone from the other side to here, and then made land down there, worked its way through, and joined up the line there. And it joined up pretty much where I'm going to come out on my trail when I get back down to rail level. Again, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, I'm so glad I went off rail and checked out this trail up here. I'm going back down that way. Right about there is where the old grade and new grade separated. The old grade was pretty much at the bottom of this cliff, going that way. Okay, to work on finding my way back down. I'm almost there. Alright, thank you to the good people that flagged the trail. It's around the corner to Stokes Siding, and I'll continue my way east. Yeah, I had gone up there. Nice gradual slope. So the original line would have gone straight through there, hugging the side of that cliff. I'll go off rail again, and let's take a look at those Jordan rails again, and then look up at where I was on top of the cliff. Here's the edge of this drop off for the Trestle Gully. I was up there. So here is the old Jordan rail. And up there is that rail. Right in the middle is that rail sticking out at the top. Right there. I'm just at the edge of the Trestle Gully on the west side, and I think the path is down there of the trestle. And so what I come through below the cliff, and then here's where I'm going to zoom in, because there's a built-up area where I think the timber piles would have been, because the built-up area goes down the slope and ends there. So I think that is it. Just a guess. And so this final scene is an example of what keeps me going back for more. This plants the seed of curiosity of going on another hike to that area and walking down into that gully, looking for more evidence of where the trestle used to be many years ago. Thanks for watching.